Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of the Lap Down Podcast, another race in the books, and NASCAR can still not figure out how to officiate a race. Welcome on in. I am your host, Ryan, for the night. Unfortunately, Greg is not able to join us, but we do still have a very packed house tonight, as we've got Jamie, Tyler, and JP on the call tonight.
What's going on, Ryan?
Oh, I'm having a great time. Hopefully you guys are too.
Yeah. Basketball season just got done. Now it's racing season, so.
Well, basketball is still technically going on. Usually this is the time that
I think he's talking about
actually start to pay attention
season.
to basketball.
Yeah, I think he's talking about his youth basketball season because he's a coach.
Yeah. I knew what he was talking about, but I just wanted to put that out there for those who are listening. They don't know that JP's a youth basketball coach and a darn good one too.
Yep, but starting off the week, we actually had some news before the race weekend dropped, and congratulations to everybody in here. We all have more Cup Series points than Chase Briscoe after he was assessed a 100-point penalty, and I think it was also a $100,000 fine.
Dang.
After a parts violation, something to do with the attachment between the rear spoiler and the deck lid. I've looked a little bit into it, but I am no engineer, so I don't know a ton about this, but from what I've seen and past precedent, it is very hard to get these part penalties overturned.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild. I don't know. I think the conversation I want to talk about on this, Ryan, is not necessarily like the technicality sides of like what would have caused the problem for them to get penalized and stuff. My thing is the severity of the penalty right off the rip. Like, season just starting and already being 100 points in the negative and sitting in last place, having your crew chief suspended for 4 races, like, should NASCAR have like a tier system for like offenses? Or is it just all like subjective to wherever NASCAR's feeling that day?
I mean, I don't know exactly where it's at, but you also look at the fact that Joe Gibbs Racing, it's not like they've been penalty free for very long. So it wouldn't surprise, because I mean, yeah, it's a new season, and obviously Briscoe's new to the Joe Gibbs Racing camp. But Gibbs themselves have gotten into some hot water with the NASCAR officials already on a couple of occasions. Remembering back to like the engine penalty that Hamlin got right before the playoffs, and honestly, if I'm a driver, I actually would rather get this penalty early in the season where there's still time to kind of plan my season and strategize my season around the fact that I know I will not be able to rely on where I know I have to make up a points deficit versus getting this with like 3 races to go in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're talking about with that, but man,
what if you get this? Because if you get this penalty at say Watkins Glen with like 2 races left in the regular season, I mean that's basically a season killer, and you didn't know you needed to cushion that much.
Yeah, but I mean, like going from like the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, right? From qualifying on the front row for the Daytona 500 to actually finishing 4th in the Daytona 500 to, oh, hey, guess what? You're getting a 100-point penalty. Everyone that you just beat in the Daytona 500, they're all beating you now. And they're going to beat you for quite some time.
And in fact, again, as I mentioned, us sitting on our couches at home are ahead of him in points right now, and will be for the following week.
Yeah, we have a 51-point total advantage over Chase Briscoe.
67, I think.
Nope, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, really?
He is minus 51.
I thought for sure he was minus more than that. But yeah, JP, Tyler, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
You want to go first, Tyler, or should I?
I haven't seen him unmute, so he might still be driving. So if
Yep.
you
So
want to
go ahead, JP.
take the floor.
So, it's rather unfortunate, but if you get caught cheating, you get caught cheating. I don't care what time of year it is. That's still time, like you guys been saying, to make it all up. So,
Yeah, and speaking of drivers getting caught cheating, just a quick note on something that we covered in last week's episode that, Tyler's here. You want to give a quick thought on the Briscoe or not disqualification, but Briscoe penalty? Disqualification
honestly,
would have
I'm
been
not
better for
shocked.
him.
I mean, out of all the places to mess with a spoiler, why would you mess with it as? But my personal thing is the fact that, like, why do it at all? I mean, why touch a single source fire? I mean, because they lost the appeal, they know they're guilty. Why would you why just stick with the rules, dude? Just drive. JGR just killed Chase Briscoe's a chance at even making the playoff.
Yeah, and I mean, I've read into a little bit of their appeal argument, and again, they have filed for appeal, so we'll have to wait and see if this gets overturned. Again, it's a fairly rare occurrence to see a penalty like this get overturned, but it isn't impossible. But they mentioned that that part of the car is an area where they typically sand down stuff, and the sanding of the car could have contributed to the parts falling out of spec. Again, I don't know how. I'm not an engineer. I can't tell you how legit that argument is, or if it has if it's going to hold any weight at all. But that's what they have claimed. So, and again, as I was getting ready to transition, just another note on terms of people getting penalized. The 75 team in the truck series, they had their appeal this past week, and it was confirmed that they will be officially disqualified from the truck race. Corey Heim is officially the winner. And I think we pretty much all assumed that this was happening, but if anyone has any quick thoughts, go ahead and let us know.
I'm not really shocked on that. It's very
Tim.
rarely do we ever see any NASCAR appeal actually win. It's a very rare circumstance for, especially when it comes to a post-race inspection appeal. Those things never win. But I understand why they did it.
Small team.
Yeah, I understand why they did, because of how small the team and how great of an impact of reclaiming that win would have been. But yeah, not shocked. Go ahead, JP.
I'm going to echo the same things that Jamie said there. I'm not totally surprised. It's the same that happened to such a small team, but if you get caught cheating, like I said before, you get caught. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know that's quite a appeal, but we've been saying all night long that you really don't win those appeals.
Well, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the latest episode of the Money Lap, the podcast that Parker Clearman does with Landon Castle. But in last week's episode, before their appeal, he was hinting at the fact that he felt like the NASCAR officials mishandled how they were supposed to handle the inspection process. And again, I'm not an engineer. I was not there, so I can't attest to how NASCAR handled it, and I can't attest to how they're supposed to handle it. So, but just wanted to mention that Clearman did imply that potentially they weren't sticking to their own rule book there.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and again, I haven't gotten a chance to listen to his episode that they put out yesterday after the DQ was upheld, but yeah. So again, we kind of all assumed that was going to happen. So as the trucks rolled on into Atlanta to start the weekend, we had a fast and furious type race there down the stretch, and ultimately it came down to two drivers, no real push behind them. And it all came down to Kyle Busch versus Stuart Breeson. And all of Canada came away upset as Stuart Breeson comes up short by a matter of inches as Kyle Busch takes his 8th career Truck Series win at Atlanta. Any thoughts on that one?
Let's see. Tyler, I want to get your thoughts first, and then we'll go JP, then me.
All right.
Tyler? All right, we'll bypass Tyler. JP?
So, not totally saw Kyle Busch. It's Kyle Busch. He knows how to drive those trucks. He's 1-for-1 in the Truck Series this year. We'll see if he can win the other 4 starts.
All right, Ryan?
Yeah, well, as a Kyle Busch fan, I was stoked to get to see a Kyle Busch win no matter how it comes, even though it wasn't a Cup win, which, obviously is the goal for Kyle Busch, just to get back to Cup Series victory lane, but winning the truck race was a cool one. Again, that finish off the corner was insane to watch. And the Truck Series booth absolutely failed that call. I mean, I try not to be too harsh on broadcasters because I understand that in real time it can be tough, but there was no effort or energy put into that call to the checkers when you had a side-by-side battle at a super speedway where you really had a 1v1 duel.
Yeah, and my thoughts on Kyle Busch in the Truck Series, especially in this race, he was the class of the field. And it was cool to see these young kids muster up and try to find ways to get up not only to him, but you had a few of them who were put their best effort to finally get past him, only for him in a matter of a lap or two to just yoink it right away. To say, good job, young blood. You finally got up here, but now it's time for you to follow daddy around this track. He just put on a clinic, and I'm glad that it was an exciting finish. To the point where there was a good chance where you did not know who the outcome of that race was going to be, but it's Atlanta, it's Kyle Busch's home track, and he's going to do everything he possibly can to walk out with a win in that weekend in one way or another.
His home track?
Well, they said that on broadcast on Sunday. They said Atlanta was one of Kyle Busch's hometowns.
He's from Vegas.
I know he's from Vegas, but I'm basing off of what they said on Sunday.
Okay, I've got no idea why they would say that.
They said one of his hometowns was in a little town near Atlanta.
Okay, weird.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, any thoughts on the truck race? I don't know if he's.
Yeah, I think he's got some mic issues going on.
Yep. All right. Well, as you said, class of the field. I think that sentence could very well just be moved right along to the next race as we talk about Austin Hill, and that covers the full Xfinity race.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. It was definitely a very much an Austin Hill dominance. Probably, I can't when was the last time that we saw a dominating performance like that in the Xfinity race?
Daytona. The RCR cars at Daytona last week.
Well, I'm more talking about like just one car just dogging the field.
I mean, Austin Hill did dog the entire field at Atlanta or at Daytona until his power steering issue, and the second he did, Jesse Love came out of nowhere and took right over for him.
Yeah, but at what point in the race was that?
I think that was partway through stage 3.
Okay.
In like the early part of stage 3.
I'm more talking about in a completion.
Yep.
But they got something figured out when it comes to super speedway racing, hybrid super speedway racing, restrictor plate, whatever fancy title you want to put on it.
Whatever Frankenstein you want to call this.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely got something figured out in their camp, and I want to see him try out for the 500 next year. I think that would be fun to see.
Yeah, the only question is where do you find him? Because does he end up bumping Alfredo out of that 62 car? Does RCR feel comfortable enough to bring a third Cup Series car, bring the 33 to the track? Especially with the likelihood of potentially having to fight to try and bump your way into the field, especially if we see a full field like we did. I mean, imagine 46, 47 cars at Daytona next year.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd like to see it, but
I would like to see it. I would even, I know it's, this is, way out there, especially given the talent that this team already has, but even if Junior Motorsports decided to do it one more time, because who knows if Allgaier is going to be up to doing it next year, given his age and all that.
Yeah, and then that will bring up another thing, though. I honestly would question, when will we see Hill potentially get an opportunity to go full-time racing? Because there aren't a whole lot of openings at the Cup level, certainly not in the Chevy camp, so...
Yeah.
I mean, unless Austin Dillon steps out of that 3 car, I don't really see an opportunity for him to move up with Chevy. And Toyota's pretty well booked up at the moment as well, so what would it be, Ford? Because Ford's not exactly looking to get rid of half their drivers or anything, so I mean, the Cup Series really is pretty well booked up for talent at the moment, and you'd really have to work to bump your way into that field.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, JP.
Okay, thank you. I really think Austin Hill should be in the Cup Series full time. Cause he's incredible when it comes to Xfinity racing. His crew chief, Andy Street, I think is his name. If he's still got the same crew chief, him and Andy have been working well together. I see those two going Cup racing together. Pole position 2029.
2029? So 4 more years of Xfinity Series racing for Hill before he moves up to Cup.
Yeah, cause like you said, I don't see a spot for him, at AAA, and if Austin Dillon wants to do 4 more years of Cup racing, which we haven't heard, but he'll replace Austin Dillon in 4 years, in my opinion.
Alright, well, yeah, obviously we've mentioned Austin Hill's domination, but I think there's another part to this race that we should probably bring up. The fact that there was no caution flag thrown for a massive wreck on the last lap. NASCAR potentially setting a new precedent here as they go ahead and decided to hold off on go no yellow at the 500, no yellow here despite a massive wreck down the back straightaway. Yeah, certainly to me felt like a new precedent. I don't know what everybody else was feeling at that point, but
Yeah, I guess I'll go first on this one. I was fishing, but from what I can tell, all signs point to they, made a bad decision here, but yeah, again, they made the other call in the cup race, and we'll dive into that later on, so.
yep.
So this is going to kind of tie hand in hand with the Cup side.
Yeah, I was actually getting
Um,
ready to try and combo it in when JP started giving his thoughts on that. Because, yeah.
Well,
Cause,
go ahead and combo it in, and then I'll put the cherry on top.
yeah, so NASCAR goes and sets this new precedent with the with the Daytona 500 and the Xfinity Series race. Obviously, no caution at the end of the truck race, so nothing to go off of there. Then NASCAR goes and takes it and throws it out the window, the second story window in the Cup race as they go and throw a caution flag, which leads to the race ending in what looked like was about to be another 3-wide photo finish.
Yeah. So one thing that I did see is NASCAR had stated after the Xfinity race that moving forward they will err on the side of safety, and they will be throwing yellows out. So it sounds like they're trying to make it more of a consistency thing, but
One could
they're
say they were
just
erring on the
electing
side
to
of
err.
caution.
I love buttons. They're so good. I'm kind of mad I didn't even think about that.
I thought you were intentionally trying to avoid it, and I was like, I punched this one right in the...
But it's one of those things that I think they're going to try and set a precedent where they're always going to opt on the side of safety, and that's probably going to mean that we're going to see more of these late race cautions, especially when we're talking about restrictor plate racing, when we're talking about close quarter tracks. So not just super speedways or hybrid super speedways, but I'm thinking about the Martinsvilles, the Bristols, the Dovers. Probably going to see some of those as well if there's a caution that comes out there. But the fact that they did state that after the Xfinity race makes me like, yes, I'm bummed we didn't get to see another 3-wide finish at Atlanta, but it helped me understand like why they threw the flag during the Cup race and not during the Xfinity.
Did you have any thoughts now that we've kind of included the Cup race finish into this discussion about the caution flag?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I really, think, that, cause even on social media you saw where NASCAR put out that they were going to err on the side of caution. We'll see if they are consistent coming down the road. We're only 2 weeks in and they've done it both ways. For every series that has needed a caution. So, For me, we'll have to wait and see.
Alright, and then Tyler, if you're there. Alright, it looks like we're still without Tyler, so
I'm here. I'm just talking to the customer. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so my thoughts on this is I feel like we wouldn't even really, I don't think, be talking about this issue if it wasn't for NASCAR overreacting to everybody on Twitter complaining about all the races ending on yellow at Daytona and deciding to hold the flag at Daytona. Because I think if you look, aside from Daytona and the Xfinity race at Atlanta, aside from those two events, can you really name more than maybe a half dozen incidents over the last 5 to 10 years where NASCAR held the flag like that? Because like one of the only examples I can think of wasn't even a thing at the end of the race. Was Chris Buescher at Kansas that one year when he was staying out to try and get the track position of the yellow. There was a tire in the grass, and NASCAR was like, "We're not going to throw the caution until you pit." That's one of the only examples I can think of NASCAR actually holding the caution in a situation where they probably should have thrown it.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. I think just trying to. It almost seems like NASCAR's trying to get the popularity vote while still screwing that up.
Yeah, I mean, as I said after Daytona, it felt like they overreacted. Twitter had the dual race in the dual race 2, where Eric Jones did unfortunately miss out on his dual win because of the timing of the caution, but ultimately you can't let Twitter officiate a race.
Yep.
But all things aside about the yellow flags, though, we're not putting out another caution here. We did actually get to see a pretty good race in the Cup Series. I assume we all saw what was a very good race, from my opinion.
Yeah, I would say it was a good race.
That one?
Yeah, I mean, for Atlanta, I think it was definitely like. I think being able to see these drivers come up and down the field and actually making moves and doing what we want to see is just using their God-given talent and the manufacturers with their power and performances in their race cars, actually seeing them be able to do what they want to showcase in a NASCAR race. It was definitely a good race. Overall, I was very happy to watch that race. I was entertained throughout the majority of that race.
And of course, we've touched on the fact that it was going to be a 3-wide finish potentially, but we haven't really talked much about the race winner, despite it being a pretty cool win there for one Christopher Bell driving that number 20 car. A great day for him. Another great day right behind him from Carson Hocevar, getting in only his second career Cup Series season, getting a runner-up finish at Atlanta. And then, of course, Kyle Larson, the guy who can never seem to win at super speedways, almost getting one here.
So Hocevar seems to be a very hot topic right now. Do you think he needs to cool things down with his driving style, or do you think he needs to keep it right where it's at?
Well, I will say it was extremely ironic that out of all the drivers that came up to talk to him after the race, why on earth was Ross Chastain one of the guys trying to tell him how to drive?
Because it's Ross, and he's trying to turn a new leaf, Ryan. You leave Melon alone.
Just saying, something about pot calling the kettle black there.
Hey, it's not the pot kettle black. It's pot kettle melon. Because he is a melon man.
Yeah, but again, I think it's going to be something very similar where, I think Hocevar will potentially grow into his role in the Cup Series with either a aggressive personality that, hey, some drivers might not like it, but you might win a lot, or at least be in contention a lot, like how Chastain was for the first couple of years in that track car, or he could kind of restrain himself and whatnot, and ultimately be a fairly anonymous driver. Because I think the aggressive moves and the willingness to upset the apple cart is going to be the thing that will set him apart from the pack of cars, especially in his time in a Spire Motorsports car, which is not going to be up to snuff with the rest of the field.
Yeah. JP, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts on Carson Hocevar and his driving style?
Okay. You said JP, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Alright. So, I think the kid's gonna win a race. I love his aggression. He's got that never give up attitude until it gets him in trouble with NASCAR. Keep it up. The moment it gets him in trouble with NASCAR, I predict you'll see him back it off.
So JP says if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it'll be NASCAR that gets upset with him, more than it might be Chevy getting upset with him. I mean, we all know what happened with Parker Retzloff after the Daytona summer race last year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep. But, yeah, so I think, though, that, again, I think his aggression, it will either make or break his driving style if he's able to go ahead and run that one. But, yep, so there were also some other notable things, just kind of one other driver specifically that I wanted to shout out from this race, and obviously there's a big reason why I'm the one shouting him out. Michael McDowell, coming back from 6 laps down with a power steering issue, was in the garage at one point while 6 laps down, and came back to finish 13th and on the lead lap.
I was hoping you weren't. I knew it was a long shot for you not to mention Michael McDowell, but I wanted to save him for my green flag, but now I don't get to do so. But it's okay.
Hey,
Yes.
you can still use him as your green flag.
Nope. You already brought him up. But
Oh, trust me.
yeah, very much
Any
a
chance
tremendous
I can
effort.
bring up, any chance I can bring him up, I will bring him up.
Yeah, talk about a tremendous effort as a race team, as a driver, as a crew member.
If someone wants to talk about some never give up attitude, that is some never give up attitude.
That is right. He went from just logging laps trying to get that bonus point for leading the fastest lap to actually having a chance to race for position and come away with a good finish. Talk about a day.
All right, Jamie, would you like me to leave the driver who got the fastest lap for your green flag, or do you want me to bring him up as well?
You can go ahead and bring him up because that's not going to be the other route I'm going.
Okay, because I just wanted to give another shout out as well to AJ Allmendinger with the fastest lap at Atlanta this week.
The dinger!
A driver that I don't think anyone really noticed throughout the field. It didn't feel like he did anything overly special, but he kept the car in one piece and put up the fastest lap. And I got an extra point in fantasy for it.
Were you shocked by that, JP?
I was. I thought, Carson Hocebar, who was at the front, he had a fast car all day long. And props to Spire Motorsports to have Michael McDowell finish 13th, Carson Hocebar finishing second. That just proves that race team can put out some good cars.
Now we just have to wait and see if they can do it at a track that isn't a super speedway. Please, oh please, keep the wheels on the car next week at Circuit of the Americas. But yeah, so I think that is pretty much everything from the actual race, and then just kind of looking to the future of Atlanta Motor Speedway. I think it was pretty obvious to see from the racing that this track is aging extremely fast. Um, First off, do we like that it's aging fast, and do we think that at some point we potentially see this race get just naturally convert itself from a super speedway drafting style race to a more traditional mile and a half just due to the sheer age of the pavement?
JP, I'll let you start.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
No. And let me tell you why. The moment NASCAR sees anything like that, they're going to want to do something about it. They're like kids in a candy store. When it comes to Atlanta Motor Speedway. In my opinion, because you once had a free ride battle at the line. I know NASCAR had the further caution, but you almost had your second free ride battle to the line if that caution hadn't came out in the Cup Series.
All right. What are your thoughts on that, Ryan? And I'll give mine.
Well, going back to what JP said there, honestly though, if you, I know we kind of say traditional mile and a half, like, oh, like that's a bad thing. But let's think about some of the mile and a half races from the last couple of years. Coke 600s have been absolutely some of the best in recent memory. Homestead last year was absolutely insane. And do we even need to mention Kansas in the blink of an eye? Yeah, Chris Buescher losing that race in one of the closest ever. I don't think going back to just normal mile and a half racing is as bad as it might sound at first here.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, I think it very well could start to age to that point. And again, that was one of the things that actually, I think, really kind of made the character of Atlanta was that it was the rough track. Yeah, for the longest time. I mean, Larry McReynolds was that cheese grater in what, 2020 or 2021 when he had the cheese grater out there. But yeah, as I say, that is one of the characteristics that I think made Atlanta so much fun throughout the years, and I would not be upset to see it, to see the race kind of mellow out to a more traditional, intermediate style race. I just fear that when NASCAR goes to try and repave it and try and rebuild it back into the super speedway race that it was, that they potentially break it by trying to overdo it.
That's what I was going to lead that direction with my thoughts on it. I personally like the fact that that it had, like I said, it gave the drivers the ability to move up around the track. Like, you still had that semi feel of restrictor plate racing, but it had that mile and a half vibe to it. The aging of the track, I think, can only make things more interesting with the wear and tear on the tires, like the cheese grater, as you said. But unfortunately, I think NASCAR sees the expectation of this race now. They've seen possibly the best finishes that they could have had, even if one of it got taken away from us with a caution. They see that excitement, and they're going to want to keep tapping into that pool as long as they possibly can, even if it is repaving it every like 4 to 5 years or so. But I am definitely in agreement that, like, I like a more rugged track. I like tracks that present a challenge to drivers, whether it be because of how bouncy it is or just how much wear and tear it puts on the tires, so it makes them have to worry about tire management. All those things. Atlanta's always been one of my more favorite tracks to watch, and this week it definitely gave me like that classic vibe to it in the new era.
Alright. So, moving on from the Atlanta race, as we're getting ready to head to Circuit of the Americas, let's wrap up Atlanta with some green black flags. So, Jamie, do you need some time to think of a new green flag?
No, actually, I'm good.
All right, so lead it off with the green flags and black flags. We'll go you, JP, and then.
So, my green flag goes to the Truck Series. I will say, out of the entire weekend, the Truck Series for this week was the most fun watched race for me. I can't think of a time that I felt like a Truck Series race was great, or even thought that even if they had a great race, usually the Cup Series or the Xfinity Series kind of overlapped it with something even better. But for this week, the Truck Series, in my opinion, was the best race of the three. And hats off to all those young drivers. Hats off to Kyle Busch. Hats off to all those teams. Definitely made it for a very entertaining weekend, and they set the tone early on often with that race. So that's my green flag. Goes out to the entire Truck Series. A black flag. Surprisingly, we didn't talk about this during the recap of Atlanta, but talking about the little incident, I guess, if you will, between Kyle Larson and Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric being on the outside, Kyle Larson coming up and kind of smushing Austin Cindric into the outside wall. And once again, I'm giving a good shout out to now they're not to Max. They're not a sponsor of ours, but I'm really liking the fact that I can sit on in-car radios, because when Chase Elliott got involved in his wreck, I switched over to Kyle Larson. And my black flag, because of this, goes to Kyle Larson. Because his spotter told him at least 3 times that the 2 was on his outside, that he was still there.
The 2 was far enough alongside you could see him out the window.
Yes. But despite his spotter's warning, he still thought it was a great idea to come up the track and almost potentially sabotage himself. And yes, you may be a worldwide name. You may be one of the best that NASCAR has. You may be one of the best drivers to ever steer 4 wheels. But you've got to listen to your spotter. You've got to not put your car in harm's way and make sure that other guys are getting a fair shake just because you want that part of the track. Don't expect them to de-throttle to let you get in front of them. If your spotter's saying that they're still there, they're there. So don't come up on the track. He wasn't tight. There was nothing that would have caused him besides his sheer will of wanting to get up to that high lane. So my black flag goes to Kyle Larson.
JP? JP?
Alright. So, I'm keeping on the same wavelength as Jamie here on my green flag. But my green flag goes to the 77 spotter for Carson Hocebar. He may have earned Carson his best finish in his Cup career, even though Carson had to drive his butt off to get that finish. Good good job to the 77 spotter. I hope you're listening because you are my green flag. I don't even know his name, but man, that spotter had to work hard to keep that 77 car up near the front all day long. Now for my black flag. My black flag has to go to, I'm sorry to say this, I know you're going to hate me for this, Ryan, but my black flag goes to the 71 team in general. Why didn't you notice that before the race
How
started?
about the fact that there's no practice?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But good job, Michael Mandel, for battling back. But that had to be, unfortunately, my black flag.
Wow, Jamie, he turned your green flag into a black flag.
No, I didn't. I said consequential.
No, Michael McDowell was originally going to be Jamie's green flag before I went and shout out race recap.
Oh,
And then you went and took what was going to be his green flag and made it your black flag. But for me, my green flag on the weekend, I'm gonna give it to the RCR Xfinity Series program because whatever they're doing at these plate races, I mean, nobody else can touch them. I mean, we've seen 4 versus 1 in the, we've seen 4 versus 1 with the, junior motorsports guys. They couldn't get it done. We've seen, we saw this, last week at Daytona. We saw 2 versus 1 with the, two not Stewart Haas cars, but Haas factory team cars on the, they weren't strong enough to beat the RCR cars. And nobody tonight, or not tonight, but nobody this weekend was able to touch the RCR Xfinity cars. Whether it was Austin Hill for most of the race or SE Love for a small portion of the race as well. That RCR Xfinity program is one of the best we've probably ever seen.
I do agree on that.
And for my black flag, I could go ahead and go with the very easy one, but I think I did that last week, so I will give them a little bit of reprieve and go ahead and give my black flag to all the Chase Elliott fans I keep seeing on social media complaining about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with that crash that ultimately took Elliott out of the race, where the guy on the inside hit the apron and came up the track into Stenhouse, forcing Stenhouse up the track. And not much Stenhouse could do at that point. He was just a pinball along for the ride.
Yeah, he was. Talk about wrong place at the wrong time.
But like the number of people I've seen saying like trying to bring this as the Ricky Spinhouse meme, and it's like he legitimately had nothing he could have done to avoid that outside of just not existing.
Yep. There was nothing that could have happened differently.
Yeah, and
especially unlike the other
yeah.
Chase Elliott fans, I understand that, Ryan.
Yeah. That's why I'm not giving it to all Chase Elliott fans. That's just I've seen a lot of them over the week that have been criticizing Ricky for that one. Last week, I feel like you could have at least put some blame on him, even though I think Joey was as much at fault. Tonight, this week's though, Stenhouse was just along for the ride.
Well, that's good, because I didn't want to be the second lap down podcaster to catch a black flag.
Alright,
Yeah.
right now.
Oh. Tyler, you there?
Yeah,
Yes, he is.
All right, we're just wrapping up green flags and black flags. You want to go ahead and give yours?
my personal green flag for the race, honestly, was just a racing product itself. Honestly,
The what?
the racing product itself,
Ah, okay.
and then the black flag is NASCAR's inconsistency.
Okay, so I'm going to say NASCAR didn't quite get. NASCAR almost got through the entire black flag without it catching a stray. Because I was
Oh,
debating
I
giving
should.
NASCAR my black flag too, but I decided to give them a reprieve.
All right, I
For about
apologize
3
about that.
minutes.
I apologize. I've been here listening. I just had a customer in there.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna say you can do whatever you want with your black flag.
But like I said, I was pissed about that fucking caution.
I mean, for me, I understood it, and I feel like that's the right call to make. It's just
I mean,
annoying.
yeah, it's the right call. But if you're gonna make that
It's
right
just
call,
more so
do it to
annoying because oh,
do it for the
it's
right,
just,
do it right for the whole every series. Be consistent. That's the whole problem.
again, it's just more annoying because of the fact that between
Right.
the Daytona 500 last week and the Atlanta race, it felt like they were starting to try and establish a new precedent. And went and threw it out the window, as I said earlier.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I think that is all for Atlanta, and we've got a very big track to go to next week. We head to the Circuit of the Americas.
The Americas.
COTA.
Although I think COTA is going to have a different. I think COTA might have a different acronym here soon because I think there's a driver who wants to rename it to Connor of the Americas, as Connor Zilic will be making his Cup Series debut.
That's honestly
driving the number 87 for Trackhouse Racing with Red Bull sponsor.
that's going to be cool to look at. Have they actually released this game yet or no?
Yeah, I've seen the I think pre-orders might already be up on Fanatics, which reminds me, use our link in the description for your Fanatics order. I am finally going to be getting my Spire Motorsports gear that I ordered like a month ago.
I still have my Chase Elliott stuff.
Yep. But yeah, that diecast will almost certainly be one I've got to add to the collection.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so again, looking forward though to the Circuit of the Americas race weekend. Let's go ahead and give some predictions for how we think Connor Zilic will do in his Cup Series debut. Mind you, he is younger. He was born, I believe, on the exact same day Cars movie released.
I have probably a bold prediction for this.
I
think Zilic is going to set the world on fire and finish top 5.
All right. How about let's go to Jamie next.
Oh man. As far as Connor Zilic is concerned, I don't know if he's going to be top 5, but I definitely see top 10. Just because there are some pretty strong road course racers in the Cup Series, especially some of those who only seem to perform on road courses, like the SVGs, the Dingers.
Hey, Mike McDowell takes offense to that. I
was getting to him. Once again, Ryan, let me have my McDowell moment.
I'm staying out.
I mean the fact that I think McDowell would be offended to be on that list of guys who courses, especially after 2 top.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
No, he performed really well at the Super Speedways the last 2 weeks.
Then it got fucked over by
Anyways, before I was rudely interrupted. Yeah, I'm thinking a top 10. If I had to be a betting man and guess in the actual finishing position, I'm going to say he finishes 7th.
JP?
I'll be right back, guys.
All right, JP.
Alright. So, I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm
Oh,
going to burst
you
it
love
for
bursting
you,
bubbles.
Jamie.
You love
You ready
bursting
for
bubbles.
this?
Let's hear it.
Honduras will win the Cup race. And let
It's
me
not.
tell you what.
Winning in his debut.
He will win the Cup race. Let me tell you what.
Tell me why,
Hey.
JP.
Okay. So, hey, he impresses me every time I see that kid race on a road course. I watched him in Alka. Shout out to the Alka Knowledge series. I watched him in Alka, Xfinity, and now Cup. And in both races, he ran Watkins Glen and dominated that race. Now, I don't know what Crackhouse is planning for him the rest of the year, but given that the first car is on a road course, I don't see why not. He's like the before missing SPG, where he comes in and wins his first Cup race right out of the gate.
Problem is that he's gonna have to outdo SVG and
Kyle
many
Larson.
others.
And
And
Mike
Chase Elliott.
McDowell.
And the same equipment. And Kyler Reddick.
Yep. Say.
And Melon Man.
Yep. And Daniel Suarez, just to get all four Trackhouse drivers. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a steep uphill climb for Zilich. I think there's a good chance he's running in the top 10 near the finish. I'm just curious if he maybe oversteps his bounds at some point late in the race and ends up either with a course penalty like what we saw with, I believe it was FC last year. Or even worse, potentially ending up spinning and or crashing the car at some point late in the race. Because again, these next gen cars handle very differently from the Xfinity Series car. Certainly, they're a world difference from the ARCA car. Although I will say his experience in the IMSA WeatherTech series, I think, will definitely come into a massive benefit when it comes to making the transition to the Cup race. Again, I think for my official prediction, I'll say he finishes 8th, but I would not be surprised at all if he ends up overstepping the bounds late in the race. So, any other Search of the Americas predictions for everybody that aren't Connor Zilich related before we get into race picks?
All right, we'll go Tyler, JP, me, Ryan. All right. JP, go ahead.
Alright. So, I know I played Connor George right now. And Connor, I hope you're listening, right now, cause I am not only predicting you will win your first race, you will dominate and win stage 1, stage 2, and the race.
So JP just goes and triple downs on what he just said in typical JP fashion.
Yeah, I think JP took.
I
Sorry.
think JP's going to go for what he did at Watkins Glen, swept all 3 stages.
All right, your turn, Tyler. Go ahead.
I already predicted him. I think he's going to finish top 5.
Well, no,
We were
we're not
talking about
talking
just
about
general Circuit of the Americas predictions, not just Connor
Oh.
Zillett.
Oh, my personal opinion is I think either Tyler Reddick or Chase Elliott are going to battle it out for the win. It's going to be mainly between Hendrick and 2311. I don't think SVD is going to do much because he really hasn't done much since he got to the Cup Series, running on the other tracks of the Chicago. I don't think he'll be up there, yeah, but I don't think he's going to be like a threat to win. So I think AJ will be up there, but I personally think it's going to be between Chase and Tyler for the win.
That's interesting. Ryan?
Yep. All right. Well, I certainly think that the biggest difference, I think, for looking at this at SVG is that this year he's back in that Trackhouse car that he won the Chicago race in. All of his races last year were in the colleague racing equipment, which was clearly a step lower, especially when they were trying to roll out an extra car for both SVG and AJ Allmendinger to try and get all of them. I think they stretched themselves a lot thinner than they needed, than they should have.
Yeah, they did.
In hindsight. So I think those colleague cars were nowhere near as good as what the Trackhouse car that he will be in is. So I think SVG will be a contender. I think, again, you'll see some of the Hendrick guys. You'll see your Chase Elliott near the front. I think Reddick will be in the mix as well. But I certainly wouldn't discount some of the road course ringers getting in the mix. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good race though. Hopefully a good one.
Hopefully they figure out the fucking
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's a good point to go ahead and transition and go ahead and spin this wheel, and we will figure out who gets to make their first pick. I think we all know who JP's pick will be when it comes to his turn, but let's see who the spin is going to be. Jamie, are you going to steal JP's pick before he gets a chance?
I am not.
Okay. Well, it is your turn.
But I'm going to take the other person racing for Red Bull this weekend, going with SVG.
All right. Shane Van Gisbergen. All right. Who's pick number 2 going to be? It's going to be JP. Do we even need to ask who JP is taking?
Nope.
Alright. So,
why are you so quiet, JP?
Hey, give it a second.
Soccer. But I am not going to take Connor Gillis. I know
What?
I've been
Really?
I know I've been praising him for this whole episode since we went to talk about road courses, but I am going with A.J. Allmendinger.
That's a respectful. I like that.
JP just pulled a Dwayne Johnson The Rock segment. He's like, we're going to hyping up Connor Zillich. What's your name? Oh, I'm choosing Connor. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Yep. All right. Well,
who's next?
It's either gonna be me or Tyler. Let's see. Who's it gonna be?
Please be me. Please be me. Please be me. Please be me.
And of course, it's not gonna be me. Of course, I get the last pick.
Oh, okay. So I actually go sorry you guys for third ball. I'm going out.
Okay.
Ooh.
Alex Bowman. Okay. You're gonna steal Greg's pick, but since he's not here tonight, to try and get the pick in.
Alex Bowman
Right.
won the Chicago Street Stars. He's a good road racer.
Oh yeah, as I say, he also won the Circuit of the Americas truck race a couple years back as well. But it's just one of those picks that he isn't the first or even in some cases the second Hendrick car that a lot of people think of when they think of a Hendrick car at a road course.
All right, Ryan. Well,
there we go. It spins. It lands on me. Yay!
Hooray! Plot twist, right?
All
It lands on Greg the Penguin,
Yeah.
not you.
It lands on me again.
Yeah, but yeah, so a lot of good picks off the board already. I am definitely
There's still
tempted
a lot
to go
of
ahead
really.
and
There's still a lot of really good picks left.
yeah. I could definitely go ahead and just jump on the Mike McDowell bandwagon again, but I feel like I don't want the dire curse to hit him, so I'm gonna try and avoid picking him this weekend and see if maybe that'll help. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stick to a little bit more of a traditional pick. I'll take Tyler Reddick.
Okay, that's a respectable
I like that pick.
I like that.
I think it stays a little bit more in balance than I normally go with, but I think it's a very much a worthwhile pick to go ahead and make. And that is all of our race picks, which leaves us with one extra chance for someone to get a bonus point through Jamie's trivia.
What we got, Jamie? What we got this week?
All right, so I'm actually talking through my headset on my Xbox right now. So unfortunately, there will be no sound effects unless somebody else would like to hit the sound effects when I tell you if you're right or wrong. But we have had 4 races at the Circuit of the Americas in the NASCAR Cup Series. And tonight's trivia question should be an easy one if you can name them all. Who are the 4 winners at COTA? And you must get every single one of them right in order to get the correct answer. And no looking at your phones.
What about my computer screens?
No computer screens either.
All right. So what was the question again?
Who are the 4 drivers to win at the Circuit of the Americas in the Cup Series?
I got it. 2021 was Chase Elliott. 22 Ross Chastain. 23 was AJ, and at 24 was Tyler Reddick.
That is not correct.
Incorrect.
How many did I get right?
Out of those, do you want it based off of just drivers in general or the year and the driver? How do you want me to answer this? Well, I was more talking about Tyler because you asked how many you got right.
Yeah.
Let's do it based off of the year, like year and drivers. Yeah.
2.
Okay, I know exactly which 2 I got right. Okay.
All right. JP, you're next.
All right. So, Tyler Reddick, AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, and Ross Chastain.
Incorrect.
I think he guessed all the ones that Tyler got wrong.
Incorrect. Wah, wah, wah. All right, Ryan. Let's see if you can get the bonus point.
All right, so I know Tyler was right on those first 2. So I know it was definitely Chase Elliott with that rain-shortened Circuit of the Americas race in 2021. Then the year after that, it was Ross Chastain. In 2023, that's where I struggled to remember who it was. Because I know AJ Allmendinger has never won the Circuit of the Americas. He was so close the year that Ross Chastain got it, but Chastain had to knock Allmendinger out of the way for that one. So I'm trying to remember who it was.
Oh, I know who it is now. God damn it.
Was 2023 Reddick's year?
Is that your final answer?
I'm thinking that 2023 was Reddick's year, and then 24. I legitimately cannot remember one thing from that race a year ago.
I don't get the bonus point,
Tyler, be quiet. He hasn't finished his picks yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna say somebody because I think I've got 3 already. I was trying to remember. It wasn't Elliott because Elliott didn't win until Texas, and I think that was his only one.
Yep.
So, was it Byron winning that fourth in 2024?
Did you just get all four of them right?
He did. He got all four right in
Let's
their correct
go!
order.
Oh, I got, because I thought Reddick won last year. That's where the one I,
Yeah, I was trying to remember it. I was like, I think there was a Hendrick car that won, but it wasn't Larson and it wasn't Chase.
it was Chase, Ross,
Reddick
and Byron.
and then Byron, yeah.
I
Let's
was so
go.
close. I was so close.
Susie Ryan. I was going to say, if you didn't get it right, I literally had it.
Do you know what this feels like? I don't know if any of you guys watch Good Morning Football.
Oh, yes, I do.
I feel like I'm now taking on the persona of Sneaky Hembo.
Well,
Oh,
I know
of
you
course
made a reference a few minutes ago, but I think that one was definitely an RKO.
Dude, of course you would go with him, Jamie. Why? I don't know why, but I expected you to go with him.
But I mean, it correlates. Like, I'm the one coming up with all the trivia questions, and I'm trying to outbest you with my searching of the scours of the interwebs to find a question to stump y'all.
I'm still impressed with myself that I got a lot of those questions right for fucking Daytona.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad that I'm 0-3. So look out next week, because I'm gonna be preparing a doozy for next week.
All right.
Okay, so next week is what track? Vegas.
Next week is Vegas. Yeah. 2 weeks out, because we got Circuit of the Americas upcoming, and then we go out west to I believe it. It's Phoenix, then Vegas. Vegas is the end of the West Coast swing.
Wow, Vegas is usually third race then, which is wild.
Yep.
I've always known Vegas to be the third race. Always been the third race, as far as I remember.
No, because Auto Club had that first race of the West Coast swing for a while.
So go Daytona. I used to be able to go Daytona, Auto Club, back after Dark Game, I used to go Daytona, Auto Club, Vegas, Phoenix, then go to Bristol. Bristol, then Atlanta.
Atlanta was also used to be the traditional second race of the year as well for a long time.
Yeah, 2015 to 2018.
Yeah. But again, they've shuffled around the schedule at this point so much, it's hard to even kind of have a traditional one, but yep. So that will be the end of this episode, though. As I say, I think we covered everything. We've got ourselves a busy weekend of Circuit of the Americas race here. Hopefully, none of the drivers slip going up that massive incline up towards turn one, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy the podcast.
Before we leave, debut, don't forget to check out the new edition of Fox Sports IndyCar at St. Petersburg at 12 on Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, St. Petersburg at 12. If you guys want to check out the IndyCar season, again, we'll be talking about that race in our race recap tomorrow or next week as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, remember to leave a rating over on Spotify, or if you guys are listening over, like and subscribe to our channel. But quick shout out to our sponsors: Fanatics, Bulletproof Coffee, Dr. Squatch, Sleeves, W Energy, Duke Cannon, Fubo TV, Century PC, and Smackin' Sunflower Seeds for this. And in addition, also a massive thanks to Will and the Alkali Project for the intro and to the podcast. But thank you guys for watching, and we will be with you guys after.
Deuces!
Deuces!